Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Adi and I have literally no idea what I'm doing. So that's fun for all of us. And by us, I mean me because I have 0 subscribers because I've never posted anything on here. So this is, just like a little trial run. I figured the first video I would ever post would be about books because I love books and those are easy for me to talk about. Because we are basically at the end of 2024, we're gonna go through my top 10 reads of 2024 ranked from 10th favorite to top of the pyramid. Coming in at number 10, we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This was actually my first Ali Hazelwood book, and then I was shocked to find out she hasn't written a single other romantasy. I really feel like this is a sign she could excel in more of them. If you like mafia romances and vampires, honestly, this would probably be the perfect read for you. I don't even like mafia romances, but I am a sucker, no pun intended, for vampires. I think the biggest thing that people complain about in this is the way that the romantic interests have to have intercourse. So if you can kind of deal with that, which I feel like there's weird things in every romantasy like that, so you kind of just have to ignore it or just work with it. The banter in this was perfect. The main male character is a huge grump and I am a sucker for a grumpy sunshine, except I don't even need the female main character to be a sunshine. I just love when the guy is a grump. So this worked for me. However, there are quite a few other books that I loved even more. At number 9, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. This actually is another grumpy sunshine, but this is just like a true romance. I think a lot of people think that this is a very boring book, and I don't know why. I think it's honestly perfect. I could be a little biased because I loved Gus. I thought he was like one of the most perfect book boyfriends that I had encountered this year. And also I did resonate with January quite a bit. I just thought the plot was like super clever for a romance. It helped make it much less cliche for them to go from rivals to lovers, and I also love. Well, I love enemies to lovers, but in this case it's a rivals to lovers, which is basically the same thing. Coming in at number 8, another Ali Hazelwood book, Love Theoretically. I love this. I read this within one day. I could not put it down. Jack is another grumpy boyfriend, but it was perfect. I loved him. Yeah, this was like a perfect romance for me. This is, I think, my top rated romance that's not a fantasy romance in this list. Coming in at number 7, we have Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Bryan Stevenson. This is the second book in one of my all-time favorite mystery series. The first book is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, and then he just came out with a Christmas novella. The first book is becoming an HBO limited series, I believe. The narrator in this series is honestly one of my favorites. He's a writer who essentially describes the do's and don'ts of writing a mystery while solving a mystery, which I love. They are all classic whodunits, a little bit like Knives Out, where everyone is in one secluded area and you have to figure out who the killer is. I just love those types of setups for mysteries. I don't know why. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a cozy mystery, but it's not a thriller either. It's somewhere in between. This one was a perfect follow-up to the first book. I loved it. I was so happy with it. Coming in at number 6, we have Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series, in publication order and also in the order that I read them. I loved this. I think that if I hadn't loved it as much as I did, I would not have continued on with the series. I've read the first 5 books, including Assassin's Blade, this year, and this was so close to being my favorite out of the 5. I don't know what exactly it was about this book specifically, but I was hooked, so it has a special place in my heart, and I felt like it deserved a spot in the top 10. Coming in at number 5, however, is Heir, which is the third book in the series. This one just slightly edged out Crown of Midnight for me. The end of this book will stick with me forever. It was insane. I made the mistake of reading it in public on a bus going to work. So that was, not the best choice. I think my jaw was just like wide open the entire time, but that's okay. It's okay. It was worth it for the emotions I had while reading this book. So good. I think this is so far my favorite of the series. Now we get to the top 4. This is where I had the most difficulty ordering them, but I feel pretty good about where I ended up. Coming in at number 4, we have Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is the second book in the Shepherd's King duology. The first book is One Dark Window. I loved the first book. A lot of people were iffy on that one, but even those people, I'm pretty sure, loved this book, and this book kind of made the duology pretty much perfect. I don't know that I've ever felt that way about a second book in a duology. Usually the first one is better than the second. Rachel Gillig is now an auto-buy author for me. I don't even know that she's written anything else, but she has a new duology coming out next year, and I will be reading that immediately. Coming in at number 3, we have Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. This was probably, well, actually, yeah, this was my favorite thriller of the year. I could not put this down. I do think it helped that I read this away from home because I don't know that I would have been able to sleep after reading this. It is a little bit creepy, just a little bit. There are so many good twists in this, but the very last one I feel like was not too out of left field, and I almost felt stupid for not thinking about the possibility, but it was great. It was perfect. Perfect last twist. If you're looking for a thriller to read, I would definitely recommend this one, but I would also just go in blind. Just read it without knowing anything about it. My runner-up was Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is another scenario where I now have a new auto-buy author. I don't know that she's written anything else. This is the first book in the Crimson Moth duology. This came out, I think, in February and sat on my bookshelf for 6 months. I had no idea that people were obsessing over this, and then I randomly happened to pick it up, and I get it. I really get it. I could not put this down. This is about witches. It's a YA romantasy, but I think mostly just due to the easy world building, which I feel like makes it a very good intro to fantasy. I have absolutely no complaints, no edit suggestions. This was just perfect. However, one book made it to the top, and that was The Women by Kristen Hanna. This was my first Kristen Hanna book. This also was my first historical fiction book in years, probably since college. I didn't know I could love an author so much, and I also didn't think that I would like historical fiction that much. Now I'm like on a roll. I've read 2 more of her books this year and I loved all of them. I knew absolutely nothing about the Vietnam War going into this. I feel like I still don't know that much, but I know an entirely different angle that I didn't know before. This is from the POV of women in the war, and I think that that's so important to learn about. I also really did resonate with Frankie, the main character, not when she was obviously serving in the war, but in her like real life. She made some choices that were so gut-wrenching to read, but I could kind of understand how her brain was working, and it was just, this book was a wild ride. I truly believe it had the perfect ending. This was a masterpiece. And those were my top 10 reads of 2024. If you made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you. Second of all, if you feel like liking, commenting, maybe even subscribing to my channel, I will love you forever. If you have made it this far, let me know in the comments what your favorite read of 2024 was. Thanks for hanging.